What is going on, guys? This is the Bogey Free podcast for the Byron Nelson. This week, I'm your host, Evan Chaney, today joined by my co-host, Matt Jones. How you doing today, Matt?
Not too bad, Evan. What's going on?
Ah, man. Last week, I didn't tell you this before we started the show, but I think it's appropriate here. So I was uploading my lineups last week. It was last
Mhm.
Wednesday. And I had the CSV set up. I had my Excel spreadsheet to upload on the DraftKings, whatever. I thought I did it, but I didn't.
I thought I did
I
it.
I
That
thought I
start to that story could not have
yeah,
gone well
yeah, it
afterwards.
was not. I
I
thought I did it.
thought I did it.
I thought I did, but I didn't. And
Damn.
I had my dummy lineup, which my dummy lineup wasn't terrible on paper. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I remember it had John Rahm, um, who MDF'd. But
Oh my
yeah, I'm just
God.
saying, like,
He
oh, the,
eject.
the MDF, the MDFs are just the worst. I hate that.
He deserved it though, to be quite fair.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just the whole MDFs in general are just. Ugh. No, but I thought I had uploaded my CSV and I didn't, obviously. So my dummy lineup was in 10 spots. It didn't do well. I had one guy miss the cut, which wasn't terrible, but then I had like two MDFs on top of that.
Yeah, that's not
John
great.
Rahm and someone else. So yeah, it was it's a rough week.
Yeah, I
But
mean, to be fair, I wish I would have just had a dummy lineup so I could have used that excuse because I got pretty well raked over the coals this week.
yeah, I saw a picture that you were posted on Twitter after the fact. It was
Yeah, it's just
what are your head to heads? Didn't seem like it ended well.
no, it was super tilting. Like I guess we can just sort of quickly go through like the players, but just like Johnny Vegas, he's my guy.
Yeah.
Like he shoots 78 on Thursday, and I'm like, I don't care. He's gonna Tommy Fleetwood at Arnold Palmer, like shoot 78 and then go 66, make the cut by a couple, moving on. Crazy momentum. He misses on the 36th hole. He misses the putt literally by 3 inches. Like just super tilting. He would have made the cut on the number. And then who knows? But I admittedly from like a process standpoint, I definitely went too heavy on him. Like even if he did well, like having that much exposure to a guy in that salary range where like missing the cut is a reasonable expectation, like it was kind of dumb. But you live and you learn, right?
Yeah, for sure. With that all being said, I think it's a good time to just jump into this week's stuff
Yeah.
with the AT&T Byron Nelson. Don't want to be completely incorrect there. But yeah, we have an interesting tournament here, like a very, very good set of golfers teeing up to play. Why don't you talk about the course for a little bit, and then what stats usually perform well here, or what you're looking at for this week?
Sure. I mean, we're looking at a par 70, which we haven't really seen much of. I'm trying to remember the last like par 70. There's been a few 71s here and there, but I can't remember off the top of my head the last par 70. And obviously, if it's par 70, it's going to be a little shorter, so it's only like 7,100 yards. So I'm really looking for accuracy here. Going through the previous results from the last like 5 years or so, the driving stuff is all over the place. Like you could like mash at driving distance and suck at accuracy and win, or the opposite. So I'm really just focusing on obviously strokes gained approach, greens and regulation stuff, a little bit of scrambling, some par 3 scoring, and obviously par 4 scoring.
Yeah, looking at how or what stats have performed well and guys who have done well here in the past. Greens and regulations huge. Putts gained is pretty big, as is off strokes gained off the tee.
Right.
So yeah, obviously everything you're talking about is spot on. All right, so let's just jump into our first set of golfers here. We'll look at the 10K and up range. Anyone in particular that stands out? I mean, one person definitely stands out in terms of projected ownership, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, how can you not play Dustin Johnson at this
Yeah.
point? Like, yeah, he's 12-5, like whatever. It doesn't matter. Like he's just what is he won 3, then he was a runner up and he was what 12th last week. Like it's just he's on a streak that you can't really afford to fade, honestly. Whether that's the best like game theory move, it just doesn't feel right. Like not putting him in a lineup, you're kind of like, there's a legit shot that this guy wins the tournament by 5 strokes, and I'm not going to have anything of him.
Yeah. I definitely know what you mean there. I don't know, like Fangraphs definitely had like he has them or they have them tied for the highest tags with Tony Finau, who we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dustin Johnson definitely is being talked up a lot. Will be chalky, but he's $1,500 more than the next expensive guy in Sergio Rodriguez. So
Sergio
I mean,
Garcia.
or Sergio Rodriguez. The lottery's on my mind tonight. Draft lottery. Let's see what happens there. But yeah, Sergio Garcia at 11K. I don't know. Decent pivot here.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, he's obviously coming off the Masters win, and he looked pretty good last week. I think he kind of ran out of gas a little bit. But he won this tournament last year, so he's definitely, he can obviously do well at this track. When you think about ball striking, there's not a whole lot of guys better than Sergio. So he's definitely worth considering. I mean, when it comes to like pivoting in this range, like I just feel like the last few weeks, don't you feel like the ownership right at the top has been like relatively spread out for the most part?
Yeah, but only I don't know. I don't know. We could definitely see a similar situation here if because we do have the same kind of pricing, the same kind of pricing stuff we have been in the past few tournaments where it's like one guy at the top is a lot more expensive than everyone below him.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, there could definitely be some like more even ownership than these fan share tags suggest. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think Sergio Garcia makes for a decent, probably the best pivot off of Dustin Johnson you can get, because everyone in this price range, yeah, they can drive the ball pretty well, and Dustin Johnson's obviously going to be the top guy every day of the week. Brooks Koepka pretty close behind him, but Sergio Garcia's driving accuracy percentage is much higher.
Yeah.
Like he's 62.95% driving accuracy. Also one of those things that winners at this course have done well in the past. So especially when compared to other placements on this course. So yeah, I think Sergio Garcia, I don't know if I would say that he's better than Dustin Johnson, but I could definitely see a pretty good justification for pivoting to Sergio Garcia over Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if again, we're talking about these guys all the way up at the top, it's hard to knock really anybody, especially in the top 4 right now. But if you are gonna take Sergio down a peg, like, I mean, his ace notwithstanding last week, like his par 3 scoring hasn't been great. His par 4 scoring is pretty much in line with everybody else up in this range. But I honestly, if he gets a little wonky on the par 3s and, he can't make up for it in the par 5s as well as these other guys up here, I do feel like there's, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you definitely have to put him in and play him. But I'm not like overly confident about Sergio this week. I don't know why. It could just be a gut feeling, but I don't know.
No, that's perfectly fair. And then we have some other guys.
Sorry, he's definitely going to have less ownership than Dustin Johnson, though. So if you are talking about a tournament, like there's no doubt he's a good pivot, and then you have $1,500 to play with in your salary. So
yeah, I don't know. That's what I don't know. You kind of have to take these fan share tags with somewhat of a grain of salt, because a lot of these guys are probably just being like, okay, here are the best plays
Right.
regardless of price. But if you are taking price and ownership into consideration, then yeah, I mean, Sergio's much cheaper, will give you a lot more lineup flexibility.
Right.
And then if he really is going to be lower owned than Dustin Johnson, that gives you a great advantage when it comes to your other 5 guys this week,
Yeah,
or
for sure.
6 if you're playing on fantasy draft. All right, so let's go a little cheaper here with these 3 other golfers in this 10K range. We have Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, and Jason Day, 10-8, 10-2, and 10-1 respectively. What are your preferences here in this range?
I mean, from what I've seen, again, usually like when I'm writing on Tuesdays and we're getting ready for the pod, I don't really seek out any other information other than looking at fan share just to see like who's being talked up. If people are going to be scared off of Spieth because of the miscut last week, then I'm gonna be all over that, because I don't see how we can go to a par 70 course with where accuracy is at a premium and you're not going to play Jordan Spieth. Like, yeah, he wasn't great last week, but if he manages to make the cut, you never know what's going to happen. There's all these guys that end up on the bubble. So I'm going to be putting him in a lot of tournament lineups if it looks like his ownership's going to be low.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, none of these guys. I mean, Brooks Koepka is like probably the most shaky in my mind out of all these 3 guys. But I don't know. None of these guys are bad.
No, and I mean, and Koepka, I mean, he seems to be sort of getting back to, I mean, what was he, fifth, like in the teens worldwide? Like, yeah. He's definitely coming back. He's in the last 12 weeks, he's made 6 out of his 9 cuts. So, I mean, that's pretty reasonable when you consider Spieth has made 5 of 7. So it's pretty much in line with that. So, I mean, it's just, he's done well here in the past too. He has a couple of top 25s in the last few years, Koepka. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with a lot of these guys. Like, if you spread out ownership and you find the right value, you're going to do well this week for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you covered all the bases there. So, let's jump down to these 3 golfers that are in the 9K range. We have Louis Oosthuizen at 9,700. I probably just botched his name. You can make fun of me that in a second. Patrick Reed at 9,400 and Tony Finau at 9,200. We talked about him a few seconds ago. He is tied with Dustin Johnson for the most fan share tags as of now on Tuesday night with 31. I mean, he probably goes hand in hand lineup construction wise with Dustin Johnson. With just how some people are going to be building their lineups this week. So that makes sense. But yeah, talk about this range and how I may have just screwed up Lewis's name.
No, it's all right. It's Oosthuizen, but it's a pain.
It's the South African twang, right? Yeah, that's what we're going with. So.
I respect that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in this next, it's kind of weird. There's only 3 guys in the 9K range this week. But I mean, if this is going to hold up, like if fan share tags are going to really match up with ownership this week, then I'm just going to have Patrick Reed in all my tournament lineups. Like, I love Tony Finau. He's going to be in my cash lineup, but if his ownership is going to rival Dustin Johnson's, like, how much value are you getting out of him in a tournament? You're not really getting much. And, Louis played well last week, but I'm just kind of, I don't know. He's just one of those guys where I'm just not like super excited to roster him on a weekly basis.
I don't know. I think the better pivot off Finau is Lewis. Did I just say his name 3 times? I think so. No, but I really think Lewis is the better pivot off of Tony Finau. Just because he has a better driving accuracy percentage, more comparable greens and regulation, not as good as Tony's, but better than Patrick Reed's. Much better scrambling percentage and pretty comparable stats elsewhere. So I don't know. I'd much rather go Lewis Oosthuizen. Oosthuizen. That's the new word here. Uh, than than Tony, because he's right now. If we're looking at the fan share tags, which I don't want to keep riding on those like they're the gospel, but they are the gospel, really. um, but yeah, he has only 8 tags as of right now, so he's by far going to be the lowest owned guy out of all 3 of these. So yeah, give me Lewis, and I'll save the 500 elsewhere.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, anything else you want to add on to these guys?
No, not in that range. I think that's good.
All right, so we'll move on to these 8K golfers. We have quite a few. Jason Duffner at 8,800, Matt Kuchar at 87, Charlie Hoffman at 85, Brent Snedeker at 84, Russell Henley at 83, Ryan Palmer 82, Charles Schwartzel 8,100, and Byung Hun An at 8K. Anyone you want to talk about first?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this range. For the most part, I'm really kind of narrowing in on Russell Henley. Just because there's a reasonable discrepancy between like what Vegas thinks and where the salary is at for him this week. So I'm definitely targeting him a little bit. I wrote up Kuchar in the playbook article this week. It's like insane how often he makes the cut. It was, I think, since 2012, he's played 122 events and he's missed 10 cuts.
Wow.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Like, that's crazy consistency. Again, we joke about, the Skechers thing and whatever else, but like he makes cuts. Like, you need guys like that in your lineup every week. If you in a sport that's as volatile as golf, where anybody can miss the cut, a la Spieth last week, you need guys that are going to make it through. And Kuchar's like one of those steady guys. It's an accuracy course. He's reasonably accurate. He can scramble well. He scores well on the par threes. Like, I don't know. I like him a lot to start some of my cash lineups this week.
Oh yeah, for sure. Matt Kuchar's he's always a great cash game play, just because of his consistency. Will be very low owned in tournaments, but I don't know if that's really somewhere you want to go. Tournament wise, I mean he doesn't have like the birdie upside that you want from a guy.
Yeah, for sure. He's not really built for like DraftKings scoring, but
No,
like we said, he's gonna get a T27 and make the he'll make the cut, and you find the other guys that you need that have that big upside, but that's like a good anchor for your team, I feel like.
Oh yeah, he's a great model of consistency, but I don't know, like where in this range are we really going to find that GPP upside? Because I'm looking at it, I mean, maybe you can get it from Duffner, but the ownership is just really high on him. Projected to be. Has like some of the highest fan share tags we're going to see on the week. I don't know. Maybe Ryan Palmer?
Yeah,
Ryan Palmer, I do like him quite a bit.
Yeah, and he'll get after it on the par fives, even though there's only a couple. And he's above tour average on the par threes, like, scoring wise. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that at all. He has a 65 this year, so he definitely has the he can go low given the right conditions. So yeah, I think that's fine. And I mean, outside of that, this is a very like cash range. Like Brant Snedeker doesn't really get me going for GPPs, but again, he's more often than not going to make the cut, and that you have like a solid. You're going to get like T30, whatever it ends up being. And maybe he wins the thing every once in a while. So I think that this 8K in general seems like all very similar golfers that are just going to be like cash locks.
Yeah, definitely. yeah, I just don't see the GPP upside here, but definitely the cash game build is here for sure,
Yeah.
which can definitely explain why guys at the top in the pricing tiers, such as Finau and Dustin Johnson, are probably going to be so popular because value for tournaments is just going to be so plentiful
Right.
as you scroll down to the bottom here. So yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that as we go on here. But yeah, definitely a lot of tournament value toward the bottom and a lot of cash value toward these middle tier price ranges like 8K and up
Yep.
for sure. All right, let's dip below that for a second. We'll go above 7,500 for
Okay.
our next pricing range. We'll go like JB Holmes. Yeah, JB Holmes, everyone below him up to like Graham Delete.
All right.
So who do you like here for cash? Who do you like here for tournaments?
I mean, you see my boy there, so I got to start with him. Johnny Vegas coming in hot again this week. And I mean, listen, we talked about it already. I'm not going to keep saying it, but like 3 inches, whatever. Um, so you're looking at a guy who is sort of like tour average in greens and regulation, like more recently, but his scrambling has gone up a lot lately. I looked at, I guess, since the Genesis, and his scrambling has gone up like 7-8%. So he's starting to figure out his short game a little bit, and he can definitely score. He gets birdies. He'll get his bogeys also, but he'll definitely get some of those birdies for you. So I like Vegas. He has a little bit of upside. I like Woodland a lot this week too, but that seems to be like sort of the consensus among everybody.
Yeah.
Kevin Tway's on the upswing right now, but again, he's going to be talked up because he's been the last few times, or the last few starts he's been up there. So
Yeah, Kevin Tway has been doing pretty well for
yeah,
himself. I don't know how long this is going to keep going, but I guess ride the wave while it's still here. I mean, he has two things really going for him. He's got long driving distance with a 301.68 yard average, and he has a scrambling, which is at 61.32%. So yeah, he definitely has some metrics here that play well with the course. So yeah, I don't mind him at all. Maybe
yeah,
I mean, I don't know, like these three $7,700 guys are all going to be like pretty mixed in ownership. Um, he might be my favorite, but just by a bit.
yeah. I mean, and again, you have like Ollie there also, who he's what, 6 for 8 in the last 12 weeks for his starts making the cut. So there's a couple of sort of young guys mixed in with some of these like Woodland Poulter types that are a little bit older but keep making cuts. Like, again, this is just like, a lot of people were kind of like complaining about this week, but I feel like it's a reasonably deep field. Like, they had the players last week. Of course, not everybody's going to be here this week, but I don't know. I feel like I think this is going to be a good week.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, fun week of golf for sure. Yeah, let's dip below that a little bit here. We have some $7,600 golfers in Poulter, Vegas. Obviously, you love him. Anyone else you really like there?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Moore kind of sticks out from like a salary versus Vegas consensus sort of deal. He's 23rd salary and 14th. I sort of put together like a Vegas metric this week that took into account like winners and top 5 odds and top 20 odds and all that stuff. So he's 14th in the way that I measured that. So yeah, I mean, he's accurate off the tee. He scrambles well. And he's sort of tour average across all the birdie or better, like on the different pars. But I mean, he's not going to be really that heavily owned. And I don't really see anything wrong with him at that price.
No, not at all. He does make for a really interesting tournament option there. gonna be pretty low owned with these guys at the top here, or just
Yeah.
not at the top, but like the guys who are $100 more expensive than him are going to be more highly owned. Yes, Ryan Moore can be volatile, but I don't know. I think I'm willing to take a flyer on him this week.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's jump to these $7,500 guys. We have a few there. Who do you like in that range?
I mean, it's one of these things where you're like, all right, well, I guess I have to like DA points, like if I have
I
to.
mean,
I
no
mean,
one's
he's
forcing. No. I mean, no one's forcing you to like him. I mean,
no, I
there's
mean he's
definitely good
accurate
reasons to do
enough.
so.
You know, he's
Yeah.
accurate off the tee on approach. He's above average in scrambling. Like he does the things well that we're thinking will lead to success here. But again, it's just like I don't know how it's like me personally. I like Bombers weeks. Like I like rostering the guys who just hit the ball a mile off the tee, and that's just more exciting for me. But I mean, points is right there. I I mean, I usually like Love Mark, but I'm not really sold on him on an accuracy course. Um, yeah, I mean this range, like this couple $100 until we get to like JJ Spawn is just sort of dead to me, honestly. I'm not really seeing a whole lot that I like. Maybe Cameron Percy, but not really.
Yeah. Um, no, I just had a really interesting thought. So, like, you're talking about, the Bombers courses, how it's slightly more exciting to watch that. What if DraftKings added on to their little arcade experiment and was like, all right, you can roster, we'll make the rosters the normal 6, but scoring's just a little different, right? So they have the normal scoring, but they award, longest drive
That'd be
or
fun.
something like that. Like, you have the longest drive on this hole, so you get X amount of bonus points, and there's like 18. There's 18 opportunities for bonus points for longest drive on each hole. It's
That's
like
pretty
stuff like
sweet.
yeah,
Yeah.
little stuff like that might be interesting.
Andrew Loop would just be mashed in that. You'd have Loop, Hagee, you'd have all those guys.
Yeah, like in that situation, some really interesting names would just
Oh
come
yeah.
up on.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Fanshare might not be able to handle that, but it's like why is Robert Streb all of a sudden? No, I don't know. It's a thought though. It's definitely a thought.
I like it.
All right. So yeah, we talk about these guys in the 7,500. What about 74 and pretty much on downward, like 74 to 7K? There are a ton of golfers in this price range. Yeah, talk about them and like who has the upside here.
Yeah,
That'll
I
help
mean,
you with the stars and scrubs.
yeah, I'm sort of looking. I feel like JJ Spawn has sort of teetered off of the like not a lot of people are talking about him, but I still like him this week. He's not gonna like blow you away with greens and regulation, but he's good around the green, so he can sort of make up for some of that, and he's really really strong on par threes. JT Poston too, similar analysis there. They have pretty much the same stats across the board for the most part. And then you just keep going down, and this, I mean, again, this range, you're just kind of like, where do we go? Like, do you really want to roster like Alice Chitka? Like, no.
Yeah, it's not.
But if if you have exactly this much, if you have $7,300 or $7,200 left, that's who people are going to land on. And I don't know. I think that's sort of a dead range until you get down to like my namesake. Like Matt Jones looks pretty good this week.
The other Matt Jones.
The other Matt Jones. I'm the original. No, actually, I might be older than him, so that might work actually.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it kind of deadens there for me a little bit, and then it picks back up in a couple places for the rest of the way. But I'm looking more at a little bit more of a balanced lineup this week, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I thought with so many fan share tags with like a 12,500 Dustin Johnson and a $9,200 Tony Finau. I thought there'd be some value at the bottom here to like justify those two guys, but it's not like you really have to. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, and
It's a
especially
crapshoot down here.
especially if you're talking about cash. Like if you're talking about GPPs, you can throw some darts at some of these guys down in this range that we'll get to. But like realistically, for cash, I'm not trusting a lot of these guys down here. Like
No.
you can't because
No.
they just have no cut equity. A lot of these guys, like you're looking at, you know, making like 2 of 9 cuts, 4 of 8 cuts, 2 of 4 cuts, 5 and like no, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a weird cash week for sure. If you're playing cash, it's a very strange week. Because there's just none of these guys really are capable
Right.
of competing. I don't know.
Except as we keep
Except,
going, my boy Smiley is having a
just clicked on it.
resurgence.
Yeah, I just clicked on his name. I thought I was gonna like bring him up for a sec. No, he's got some really nice numbers going in his direction. He's got a 297.6 average driving distance and a 56.81% scrambling percentage, which yeah, he's definitely got some metrics on his side.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about a guy who, you know, obviously has distance off the tee, but you know, he played really well last week, you know, at Sawgrass, and that is not a bomber's course by any stretch. It's pretty balanced overall, but like he, you know, he played well. If it wasn't for he sort of blew up on Saturday with the 76. But he shot 69 on Sunday on a day that not a lot of people went low. Like I'm looking right now.
I mean, that weekend overall was just a crap fest.
There was like 7 guys who broke 70 on Sunday last week, and he was one of them. So whatever happened with his wrist in the beginning of the season, that sort of seems like it's behind him. And you know, we joke around about the Natty Light stuff, but like he could be a play this week, especially in a GPP.
No. Oh yeah, and there's legitimacy to the Natty Light. Let's be real here.
Oh, for sure.
Anyone that cuisines on Natty Light is automatically a champion.
Oh yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. I'm looking at Bryson DeChambeau. I don't know.
No.
I kind of liked him for a second, but no.
I can't do it. I hate those commercials so much. I really do.
Why do they? I think we've talked about this before, but why him?
I don't know. It's just like,
why would they pick him to be like? Because he's young.
You know what bugs me? The part where he holds the virtual like ball above the green and drops it, and it like rolls away. Like I'm just like, come on, dude! Like you're not doing that in your day-to-day life. Like just stop.
Well, who is
him and his single length irons and his weird putting stances and everything else? I'm over it. I wanted to root for him, but I'm kind of over it. Whatever. Too much time on him. And I know we're getting. Are we trending towards somebody that you want to talk to in a minute?
Not. We're almost
there.
We have to dip below the 7K range to acquire the power. We won't talk about him yet because there's a few players at the $6,900 area that might be worth talking about before. I don't know who stands out at 6,900 or less.
Yeah, I mean,
or just 6,900.
Fabrizio Zanotti is one of those guys where you're like, he gets starts every once in a while, and in a small sample, his stats look really good. So it's one of those things where you're like, he's not really on the tour that much over here. He plays in Europe a bunch. Like he played the 2 events in China. But I mean, he's worth a look. Like he has the tools that you're looking for here. He has a win on the Euro Tour this year, so you know he can go low. And granted, it's the Euro Tour, but still, it's those guys aren't that far off of the PGA. I'm not going to put him in cash, but he's definitely worth a GPP flyer if he can, put 4 rounds together. And Vegas loves him this week, so maybe they know something I don't.
For sure. I don't know who else. I mean, yeah, Fabrizio looks like he's in a decent spot, like his par 3 birdie or better. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on there. Um, 0% on our sheet.
Yeah, it's just it's really only from what's it called? He only played in the sample that I pulled of stats. He only played the Puerto Rico Open and the WGC in Mexico. So like I don't have the Euro stats. Like I have my media stuff for the regular PGA. I don't have anything in Euro, so I don't get to really pull any stats from them. So you're really looking at like 8 rounds where he didn't do anything on par 3s.
I was just curious as to what that 0 was. It was like, I guess he just doesn't do anything on par 3s. No, but yeah, he definitely has some decent stats, especially with the Euro. I don't know. I think my eye is also drawn to I don't even know.
Honestly,
thought my eye was drawn to it.
This is a weird thing, and it's something I'm starting to track because I don't necessarily know what it is with the DraftKings, how they figure out pricing. But like you look at last week and the whole top 5, except for one guy, was in like the 69 to 6,700 range. And it seems like again this week, there's like this weird part of how they price people that they're like in the, they're 78th in salary, but Vegas loves them. Like Watney is like underpriced because based on what Vegas is saying. Billy Hurley the third, like even Keegan, Hudson Swafford, like all these guys are down here in this range. They have great odds in Vegas, and for whatever reason, they're down in this price range. So it's definitely something to sort of track because it's just, I don't know if it's just a weird coincidence that is this price every week, but it seems like it happens more often than not.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's odd for sure. Yeah, I mean, some of these guys do have really good Vegas odds, and just priced really low.
I mean, like Swafford, I like the best, I think.
Oh yeah, Hudson's in a good spot. Yeah, all the guys you mentioned are in pretty decent spots this week.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump down to the $6,800 price range, where a certain guy stands out quite significantly. Not for his skills on the course, but for his place in our hearts.
Tag Ridings, ladies and gentlemen. Tag Ridings. He's my guy. He's my brand guy, but not this week.
No,
go ahead. Talk about Willie.
All right, Will Wilcox. First of all, let's talk about the non-golf related things. He posts a picture no, not him. His girlfriend, Megan Hayes, posts a picture of him and her at the beach. And you followed this. You followed that.
I saw it before you tweeted at him, and I knew you were going to, and I was just like, I cannot wait to see what Evan says about this.
No, it was just like, nice bod, Willie. I mean, he's got an interesting. Yeah, he's got an average dude's body. Yeah, whatever.
He's got like Eli Manning dad bod going on.
Yeah, he definitely does, which is somewhat concerning for someone of his non-dad status. But no, I was like, yo, nice spot. He was like, he replied. His reply was more interesting than anything else. He was like, my bod bodes well for you, bruh. And I just said, it's stunning. You know who liked it? Other than you. I know you liked it, but you know who else liked it?
I just needed you to know that I saw that whole exchange. That was my way of telling you I see it. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to say anything, but I saw it.
No, but you know who else liked it? Megan Hayes, the girlfriend.
A little love triangle coming up?
Maybe. Who's also who I learned was a traffic reporter.
Yeah.
For Good Day Alabama.
Yeah.
On Fox 6.
Yeah, shout out Fox 6, right? I'm
Yeah,
sure there's
so
a ton of traffic down there.
I mean maybe mobile, but I don't know what else goes on there. But all right, I guess you need some traffic people once in a while. But yeah, so that happened. Golf wise, you kind of no one really likes him golf wise.
I mean,
He's made three in his last 5 events. He's made 3 cuts, which
yeah, he's fine. I mean,
I,
again, you're
I don't
talking
mind
about
him in. No, I don't mind him in a tournament.
yeah, you're
If we're
talking
being
about a tournament, obviously, but
real. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't mind like maybe 5% of them. No,
sizzling
seriously.
hot take.
Yeah, there's
5%?
yeah.
Ah, I
I'll
can't.
take 5% of the guy.
All right.
Um, yeah. No, I mean if I'm making 20 lineups, then
I mean, I guess it's better. I guess it's better than 30% Vegas when he misses the cut. So I guess I can't really talk this week.
yeah. No. This is totally just a I love Will Wilcox play.
The only issue with
That's yeah.
the only issue with playing with him is there's a sneaky, as of right now, GPP play $100 less than him in Billy Horschel. So I might be leaning more towards that than I am towards Willie personally.
You can do that if you want to lose money.
How dare you besmirch Billy Horschel?
Oh man, what a guy!
Actually, speaking of Twitter, just real quick, Billy Horschel had a pretty funny tweet where he got mistaken for Rafa Cabrera Bello in the airport.
How? Wait, hold on. That's so like. How do you?
Somebody goes up to him in the airport, and I guess in Jacksonville, and goes, "Oh man, that was such a great albatross you had on 16." And he just goes, "Thanks," and walks away.
Like, how do you confuse? First of all, it's like for Rafa Cabrera.
They they look shockingly
That's
alike from like an
no.
I expected a 0% resemblance perspective.
Yeah.
Like they kind of I don't know. Look, you got whoever's listening, look it up and see what you think because it was. I mean, obviously the tan isn't quite there for Billy, and he doesn't have the biceps. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty close. I'll give that random airport goer the nod on that one.
It's an interesting observation. It
Yep,
is.
that's all I got.
All right. So I guess going back to like actual golf, like what.
Oh, is that what we do here?
Yeah. Like for what we're doing for this week. So yeah, obviously Billy Horschel at 6,700. You're a fan of. I mean, there's not much else like golfer. Like who else just in general do you like here that we haven't really discussed?
I mean, Baudo's won here, but I'm not particularly interested. Just figured I'd throw that out there. He won I think 2 years ago, maybe. Yeah, in 2015 he won this tournament. So, but he's not in the same form he was then. Outside of that, I mean, you're looking at guys who, if you really want to take a stance on somebody and you want to throw a dart in a GPP, that's fine. But for the most part, you're looking at guys who aren't really going to do much this week. So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to grasp at one last one. Maybe Anirban Lahiri. He's got a good short game. He's scrambling well, and he's been stateside for a few weeks now. So he isn't gonna like come from the Indian Open and go to Arnold Palmer and miss the cut like he did or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, this is that's pretty much it for me.
All right. So I guess we'll wrap it up. Yeah. I don't know. There's no one else to talk about here. So yeah, if we're not winning all the money this week, we hope you guys do. and good luck in your contest this week. Make sure to check out the weather. I haven't. Have you checked it out yet?
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be like chance of showers in the afternoon, Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend looks pretty miserable. As of now, again, we record on Tuesday night, so don't hold that as gospel because things change.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look right now like there's going to be like a wave advantage or anything. It just looks like it's going to be like crap weather.
All right. Well, that does it for us. Again, make sure to check out that weather situation as the week goes on. And yeah, what I said before still applies here. So peace out, guys.